Hello everyone, this is Grandmaster Lemos here for iChess.net. We are recording from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and I'm here to introduce my new course, Middlegame Play plus Positional Style, Positional Play. I think learning positional chess is required if you want to improve, and it's not easy at all. There's a lot of information out there. It's tough to pick what's good and what's not. And compared to tactics, tactics are visible. It's like you know what to do. When it comes to positional play, it's not always obvious how to continue. It's tough to think long term. And during this course, we'll study a lot of games. I selected a lot of games based on my experience as a coach. And if we manage to study them well, I'm pretty sure you'll move forward as a chess player.
Okay, so in this chapter we'll study game-changing decisions. We know in a game we have a lot of key moments, I would say like 2, 3, it depends on the game of course, but we have some moments where we have to make key decisions and it's not easy to choose. So by analyzing this game, hopefully we'll train this aspect, and I think it's also part of every middle game we play. I mean, in all of the games we play, we have moments where we have to make key decisions, and it's not all about calculating straightforward. So let's see this game, Hübner against Beliavsky, and we'll have a lot of key moments from both sides. I like analyzing these games and I pretend I play them myself, therefore I learn more. So we have, as you can see, a Ruy Lopez Spanish game, white plays bishop a4, knight f6, Hübner was playing white, Beliavsky was playing black, and we see this quick b5. Usually bishop e7 is the more popular move there. Okay, bishop b3, bishop b7. I've seen Carson playing this system as black, and I know that white cannot play knight here. I mean, he can, but it's not recommended. We can play d5, and after pawn takes, we get an awesome compensation by playing knight d4. As long as we get the bishop pair, I think black will have at least counterplay. But okay, rook e1, standard move. And now we see why black didn't play bishop e7 quickly. He wanted to play bishop c5, and then he'll play d6. Here we start realizing what will happen in this position. When we play bishop c5 and not bishop e7, at some point white, he can consider this pin, and this is something that happens a lot in this Spanish structure, also in the Italian. If you play the Italian, you probably saw this bishop c5 at some point. So white plays c3, black castles, and he has to. You can argue that you can play h6 first, but then he opens the center and we have the king in the middle, so this is a bit risky for us. And maybe not a bit, I think it is quite risky for us to play h6 and allow d4. So okay, we castle, white plays d4, but at least our king is safe, and bishop b6. Okay, we are analyzing this quickly. We don't want to focus on the opening, but we have to say this is all theory. I'm pretty sure black was aware of this. Bishop b6. If we take, then we are just helping white, because now he's got a free square for his knight b1. He's also advancing a lot, so bishop b6 is better. And now if he takes, we have this resource. We attack both pawns, and we also destroy white's center. So okay, bishop b6. White plays a better move. He doesn't take on e5, he doesn't play d5, which is also a possibility, theory aside. I mean, d5, he wins space, but at the same time allows knight a5. Unless white wants to offer his bishop pair, he has to play bishop c2, and then I can play rook e8. And sooner or later, black is gonna attack white's center. So, if we look at from white's point of view, d5, it's kind of a huge decision already. Because we win space, but at the same time, we are opening this diagonal. So, these are the decisions I'm talking about when we play the middle game. If we play d5, there's no going back from that move. So we have to be sure when we advance a pawn that way. Okay, so white plays this move, which I think is much better. And I'm not talking about that position. I'm talking about the practice point of view. White knows this spin has to be annoying for black, especially now the bishop is far away from the king side. If I had the chance of playing bishop e7, then this move is not a big deal, but now my bishop is on b6. That's a different story. Of course, I cannot even take because of e5. And, well, white doesn't have a real threat, apart from this, of course. But despite not having real threats, we cannot get rid of the pin. So, in practice, this is annoying. Okay, black plays d6, which is the only reasonable move I see. Rook e8. I mean, the move itself is possible, but I would be concerned about the f7 pawn, so d6 is better. White plays queen d3. Okay, we have other moves, knight bd2. What else? Maybe bishop c2, although if I'm white, I would wait till black plays a move like this. But okay, knight bd2, we see d4 is hanging, so now we understand queen d3 by white. So here's where the game begins. Okay, queen d3, knight bd2, white, he's planning the classical Lopez maneuver, knight bd2, knight f1, knight g3. He wants to attack on the king side. That makes a lot of sense. But the problem is, for us as black, the problem is, what can we play? We know white's moves. He can even consider attacking on the queen side. But the problem is how to get rid of this pin. I mean, if we move the queen somewhere, queen d7, queen e8, queen c8, which is awful, he takes, and then we are positionally dead. I wouldn't be surprised if he mates us somehow, so there's no chance we play this. I mean, we can consider h6, we can. That move we can play, but once he plays bishop h4, a move that I wouldn't play is this. First, because he can play bishop g3, my king is way too open, and second, because he can sacrifice. And I don't see how to get rid of the pin. And okay, we'll talk about this position later, because we'll have something like this in the game. But here is where the key decisions start as black. White, he had a small decision whether to play d5 or not. Now the ball is on our side, and we need to know how to play. I mean, h6, black played this move. I like putting the question mark on this bishop, whether he plays bishop e3, bishop h4, or bishop takes. But our opponent, he's going to play this 100%. He keeps the pressure, and here is where that decision comes. Should I play g5 or not? Well, here, apart from calculating, we can always try calculating, but we cannot base all that decision on calculation because we are not machines. We also have to consider details. Here, I mean, if he plays this, okay, then I can play queen e7. Somehow I keep the king side closed, and I think I'm okay as black. But we should be worried about this move. Knight takes. Okay, we have to take. We don't have in-between moves. Otherwise, I mean, if I had some crazy move like knight h5 or knight h7, but I don't, here he can just take. He can also play knight f3, by the way, and he keeps his extra pawn. So knight takes. I have to take. Bishop takes. And again, the problem is I cannot get rid of the pin. I had to play a move like this, but then he's got discovered checks. As we'll see later in the game, a typical plan from the Italian, rook f1 plus f4. And it is tough to play. Even if that position was somehow equal according to that computer, we have to realize in practice this is a very bad idea for us. So h6, bishop h4, black plays knight to a5, and I like this active approach. And by the way, we attack his powerful bishop, so bishop c2. Let's take a quick look at this move. Takes. Okay, now if we trade queens off, then I don't really care about bishop takes f6, because in the queenless position I know there's no attack for white, and now I love the bishop pair plus the d file. I guess this is a clear advantage for black. So knight a5, he plays bishop c2, and then black plays c5. Okay, so I think now the key decision would be on white's camp, whether to take on c5, whether to take on e5, whether to close that position with d5, or maybe keep the tension in the center with knight bd2. As you can see, it's all about decisions. So okay, c5. The first move I would consider as white is taken. Knight takes e5. But then queen takes d3. It looks like black, despite being down a pawn, he's got an awesome compensation. So trading queens off is not part of my idea. D takes c5, I guess the same goes after d takes c5. It is the same concept. I can win a pawn now, but yeah. I even see tricks like knight takes e4, and our first rank is weak. So yeah, if we trade too much, it looks like black is better developed for the upcoming endgame. So, okay, bishop c2, c5. I wouldn't be surprised if black had all this prepared. I mean, this could be easily be theory. Okay, so c5. Theory aside, we have to make our decision as white. We said taking on e5 or taking on c5 looks risky. Maybe a move like this. Maybe. Although I feel now the c3 pawn is gone, this diagonal is stronger for black. For some reason, I would prefer keeping my pawn on c3. I'm not saying this is bad for us, but the queenside is also a target, and without the pawn on c3, we could have some issues. And I tell this because, I tell this from my experience playing the Ruiz Lopez. So after c5, I like what White played. He played d5. And I like this move, because first, we win space, second, we close this bishop's diagonal, and we also kill Black's chances on the queenside. He cannot open the c-file. Yes, he can play c4, but the queenside remains closed, and with a closed queenside, as White, I can quietly attack on the kingside later. It would be different if he played c takes c4, c takes c4, and he has an open queenside. He would have much better counter chances there. So d5, believe it or not, this is an easy decision for White. Black plays c4, queen e2, and okay, here I think we can make our first stop. After queen e2, here comes the first exercise of this game. It is our turn to move as Black, and we need to find a plan to unpin. We also have to consider whether g5 is a good move or not. So we'll finish part 1 of this game here, and during part 2, of course, we'll continue analyzing this. Please take your time, write down all the variations, just pretend this is a real game, and then compare your analysis with part 2. Just before we finish, the idea of this exercise is to find the best plan for Black. We're not talking about tactics. As you can see, the board is full of pieces, every single piece is on board, and we don't have real tactics yet. So consider all I said, find the best plan, and then watch part 2. I hope this was useful, I hope you could learn something, and of course I want to see you during my next videos. Thank you. So we continue analyzing the game Seta 1 against Bukik, and our last move was knight to b5. Black played queen b6, protecting the d4 pawn, and as we said during part 1, he's not playing e5 because he doesn't want to blockade his bishop on g7. So, queen b6, and now it is a key position for us. We need to play a move, and also we need to play something according to that position requirements. You probably thought about a couple of moves here, maybe f4, h3, even a move like knight f4 is possible because we do have a threat, which is knight d5. He can still play e6, and our knight's not going anywhere, we are not advancing, so it is complicated. What else? Our bishop here is at the moment is not doing much. I would love to open this diagonal somehow, but that's not happening. Before deciding our move, we have to think about what's Black going to play. And the first move I see is bishop d7. It's like the most reasonable move Black can play. Imagine it's Black to move. I think he would play bishop d7 or maybe a4. Suppose we play king h1. Maybe he can play a4 himself. And the point of playing this is that now we cannot play a4, we cannot protect the knight on b5, and here he's got these two moves which are a bit annoying. Not to mention if one day he can drive the rook here, that would be original, but possible. I mean, if he plays a4, we'll have some issues with this knight, because we don't have a way back home. And bishop d7, he's likely to win a pawn. If we play a move like this, okay, but then his a5, the a5 he played in the opening made a lot of sense, and I mean, we have some weaknesses on the queen side as well. So, with this in mind, considering a4 is a threat by black, now it's like super easy to understand a4 is the way to go as white. When we play this move, we overprotect the knight on b5, and even if he plays bishop d7 and bishop takes b5, we are always ready to retake with the a pawn, and then we have a huge pressure on the a file, so that's not a big deal. If he plays something like this is possible too. I mean, maybe this is the main drawback of playing a4, and that is why this move is tough, because we leave these two squares. If he plays that maneuver, we know that worst case scenario we can play rook a3 and we protect the only weakness in that position, which would be the d3 pawn. And in order to attack the d3 pawn, he has to arrive to c5 on or b4. So the key of this position, apart moves aside, when we play a4, we have to understand we blockade the queen side. So basically black's queen side counterplay is dead. And I mean, we play rook a3 worst case scenario, and then we can focus on the king side, because we have the advantage there. A normal game would see white attacking on the king side and black counter-attacking on the queen side, but that's not going to happen, because queen side wise we don't have many concerns. So a4, deep move, black plays knight to c7. Of course, we are not going to trade, because that knight on b5 represents our space advantage, and if he wants to take, as we pointed out before, we can take this way. There's no way he can break our pawn structure, and who knows, maybe I can play queen d2, rook a4, I can even try grabbing this pawn, or queen a4 plus b4. So taking on b5 is not a good idea. Black plays knight to a6, and another nice move, h3 by white. I mean, white's advancing little by little. I'm not saying this bishop g4 is a threat, but maybe we can advance this way. See, h3 happens to be an useful move as well. We can definitely try f5, that's also a possibility, but maybe he can establish his bishop on e5. Still, I think white is doing much better, because we can still advance on the king side, but a good middle game player knows when to advance his pawns, and I like the fact we are preparing our king side attack. h3, king h2, we played solid, and then we decide whether to play f5, g4, or both. So h3, I like it. As we said, if he plays a move like this, knight c5 or knight b4, we can play something like this, and then we continue with our kingside stuff. I'm also analyzing what happens. Well, if he plays e5, this is what happened in the game. He's closing that position, and this is not favoring his bishop pair. We know in open positions bishops are good, however in closed positions bishops are not as good as knights. So h3 maybe this move has a bit more than preparation. I mean, I think he's playing against f5. It would be wise for black to open that position, considering he's got bishops. And I believe here, white, if he wants, he can try taking. If bishop takes, I can play this move. And I keep on winning space on the king side. I mean, it is a possibility, and now I understand this h3 better. Black didn't play f5, he plays e5 instead. This makes our decision easy. We don't want to open that position. What we want is to advance on the king side because we have the advantage there. So f5. Now if he takes, this would be a huge mistake because, I mean, it's all whites on the king side. So he plays bishop h6. And okay, this is like his queenside play. It is beautiful, yes, I mean, he can establish the bishop there, but it's an empty diagonal. Same as this c5 and b4 squares. As long as we have a safe move like rook a3, keeping the queenside frozen, I mean, there's nothing black can do. His pieces are beautifully placed, but he's not attacking much. So this bishop h6 reminds me of that concept. Bishop e3 is coming, but he's not achieving much. And here, let's see how white continues improving his position. And I like this move. The reason is, if he checks, I'll play king h2. That is happening even if he doesn't check, I can still play king h2. But the thing is, my bishop, which is a bad bishop at the moment, I'll play bishop h3. And then I'll trade his best bishop, which is bishop c8. So bishop d7, see, white still plays king h2, just in case. This reminds me of the h3 we played a couple of moves ago. It is a close position, we don't have to rush. It is good to play preparation moves. Knight c5. I guess knight b4 is similar. And bishop h3. So now white has some threats, maybe taking here. Bishops are facing each other. And, well, if he takes on b5, I think this is favoring us because now we can even think about playing on the queen side. There's no way he can attack our pawns. That is the thing. So, and another thing I want to mention here is a concept we say often. When we have opposite color bishops, remember this, when we have opposite color bishops, this is favoring the attacking side. As you can see, if we dominate on light squares, black won't have any way of counter bishop h3. If for some reason black was the one attacking, then he would have the advantage because we have no way of dealing with bishop h6. But okay, here it is kind of obvious. We are the singing boys on the king side. So if he plays bishop takes b5, I mean, he has to consider, he has to defend with opposite color bishops. So this position, black is in a tough situation. We know that. I mean, this is coming. Even f6 or f takes g6. Black has to be concerned about these possibilities every single move. But he could have played a move like f6. Maybe to claim some space on the king side. I can take. Well, if he takes on h3, I have pawn takes h7 check, and I win a pawn. So this takes, knight takes, and here the big problem for black is his best bishop is gone, and light squares wise, I'm dominating. I can play this, followed by queen here, and I love this. And the variation Saira1 gives is even better. We make a temporary sacrifice with h5. Well, if this is terrible for black, and if he takes, there's not a huge difference. I play this, and all my pieces are entering black's position. Here we understand why freezing the queen side was so important, because on the king side we have like a winning advantage pieces wise, and on the queen side black can't do much. So yeah, f6, I have to say f6 was a better try in practice, but black lost his patience and played this move, which reminds me a bit of f6, but this is even worse because he's full of weaknesses. And even if we play bad moves as white, we'll have a lot of positional pluses. So let's take a look at what happened here. Yeah, this is like the fastest way of bringing the queen to the action. And well, we'll see this is like crushing, but when I said even if we play bad moves, suppose we take. I mean, let's say we don't play with enough energy. We still have a huge advantage because we are driving all our pieces to the king side. As usual, this is our move just in case. And that is why I don't like this move for black, because he's not putting enough opposition. He's not putting us to the test. It's tough to make a mistake as white. So Saira1 decides to sacrifice, but yeah, actually we have queen c4, queen h5 at the end of the day. Our attack is too powerful, so I'm not even sure this counts as a sacrifice because we are likely to get our piece back soon. So black takes, he has nothing better than this, takes, and now queen h5. I like the fact we are winning a tempi, attacking these two guys at once. This might fall into f6, but queen h5 is much better. And now black plays f6. I think here is where we have to pay attention because despite black looking lost, he makes a very good try here. I mean, if he plays this move or king here, we have f6. This is super easy. But if he plays here, we can play f6, and of course we'll mate him soon, bishop h8. This is not enough for black. So after queen h5, he tries this weird looking move f6, which is actually the only way to stop this advance and the mate. So after f6, we obviously take that bishop, otherwise he'll be up a piece. And now black decides to take on b5. We take, and let's take a look at this position because after the trades we see some changes. We are almost there on the king side. I mean, if he takes on h4, we are likely to mate him on the c-file. But that position is still closed, and suddenly he's got a super knight. We have a bad bishop. I mean, our bishop is bad, super bad. It is a tall pawn, whereas his knight is awesome. If for some reason he had the knight on e5, I wonder if black is already better in that situation. But okay, the thing is we are about to mate him, we just played this, and black has to care about his king side. And in the game he plays this move, which makes a lot of sense, because if he takes, we know this is losing because we mate him, and I mean, he also has to cover f6. If this, I can even play this, so he's likely to lose this one if he opens the file. So he wants to sacrifice a pawn, keep that position as closed as possible, and now we are only attacking with the queen. I mean, if we take, or if we go back, we can simply take, then he establishes the knight here, and this is complicated. Suddenly, black is with a powerful knight, no way to push this knight back, and now our bishop, we agree it is a terrible one. So this is how tough chess is. Black, by playing bad moves, I mean, suddenly finds this resource, and unless we play strong here, we might end up in a bad position. So after g4, this is the last exercise of this game. I'll leave it to you. It is our turn as white, and we have to find the winning continuation. So I'll make a 10-15 seconds pause, and then I'll continue talking. Okay, so considering we are attacking on the king side, and considering after this knight takes, it is almost impossible for us to drive our pieces to the king side. It is too slow. We have to play something else. We know when we attack, we don't think much about material, we think about the initiative, and now we have a way to drive our rook to the king side. That is what matters. Driving the bishop won't achieve much at the moment. And before he takes and controls this square, we play rook f4. If you thought about this move, then you got it. And now we have a simple mating threat. So black takes. He has no other choice. Check. King f7, obviously. If king h8, we mate him. Queen g7. So here, well, both this plus queen takes h7 or queen takes h7 plus rook g7 are pretty much the same. It is worth pointing out that we are down a piece here, so we have to be precise. I mean, this check is not achieving much. He still runs away to the queen side, so I better take the h7 pawn. And the thing is, now he's in a passive position. Despite having an extra piece, the knight has to stay here, guarding the 7th rank. And apart from all these things, we have a passer, and this is going to decide the game. As we saw during this entire game, white had the advantage on the king side, and that didn't change. King d8. Now I could easily play h5, but we'll see white playing even stronger with b4, amazing stuff. After all, this is the main defender, so let's go after it. Well, if he takes, rook takes, this is mate. If he takes on d3, well, rook takes b7, this wins the queen, so this is very good for us. So after b4, he has no other choice. I mean, he loses the knight. In the game, we see black playing king c8, white takes, d takes, and now the simple h5. After this move, black decides to give up. I mean, we can play h6 and this next, and no counterplay. Then rook g8, and this pawn is promoting. Black can't do much to stop it. If queen d8, I can even play rook takes b7. So, a nice game, and I'm not surprised white ended up winning on the king side. It might look easy when we analyze it at home, but I think when we play games, we need to be able to know. I mean, after a4, I'm pretty sure white here in this game knew he was going to be successful on the king side. I mean, he knew that if he was going to be successful, it should be because of a king side attack. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's it. I mean, that is what I try to do when I play the middle game. I want to know what I'm doing, and if I have the chance to limit my opponent's counterplay, that's what I'm going to do. This is the tough part in chess. Strategy, plans. When we talk about tactics, that is visible, but this is what's not visible, and somehow we have to train this. Remember what Karpov said. Tactics is knowing what to do when you have something to do. Strategy is knowing what to do when you don't have something to do. So that's it for this video. Hope you found this useful. Hope you could learn something. And of course, I want to see you guys during my next chapters. Thank you.